The assault on Haven's Rest. The twin suns of Kepler 442b painted the morning sky in shades of amber and gold. Haven's Rest colony stretched across the fertile valley like a promise kept. Fields of modified wheat swayed in the gentle breeze. Greenhouse domes sparkled in the sunlight. Children laughed as they ran through the community gardens. This was humanity's dream made real, a peaceful settlement far from Earth where families could build new lives among the stars. Dr. Helen Cross stood on the observation deck of the colony's administrative center. She was 42 years old with kind eyes and silver streaks in her dark hair. She had devoted 15 years to making Haven's Rest successful. Every building, every farm, every smiling face represented her life's work. The colony housed 8,000 souls, farmers, scientists, teachers, engineers, people who wanted peace and purpose. Helen sipped her morning coffee and reviewed the daily reports on her tablet. Crop yields were exceeding projections. The medical center had just welcomed 3 new babies. The school system was expanding. Life was good here. Life was simple and honest. Marcus Webb joined her on the deck. He was the colony security chief, a former Earth Defense Force sergeant who had retired to Haven's Rest 5 years ago. Marcus was 50 years old with gray hair and steady hands. He carried himself with quiet confidence. His job was usually boring, settling disputes between neighbors, making sure the perimeter sensors worked properly, checking that the emergency supplies were stocked. "Beautiful morning," Marcus said, standing beside Helen. "Every morning here is beautiful," Helen replied with a smile. "Sometimes I forget how lucky we are." Marcus nodded, but something in his expression made Helen pause. She knew him well enough to read his moods. "Something wrong?" she asked. Marcus hesitated. "Probably nothing." Long-range sensors picked up some unusual readings about 6 hours ago. "Could be a magnetic storm. Could be equipment malfunction. I sent a diagnostic request to the sensor array." "You're worried," Helen observed. "Old habits," Marcus admitted. "In the Defense Force, we learned to trust our instincts. Something feels off this morning." Before Helen could respond, alarms began screaming throughout the colony. The peaceful morning shattered like broken glass. Marcus's communication device erupted with urgent voices. He pressed it to his ear, his face going pale. "Multiple contacts," he said quickly. "Ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. They're close. Too close?" Helen's coffee cup slipped from her fingers and shattered on the floor. "How many ships?" 6, no, 8. They're not broadcasting identification codes." Marcus was already moving toward the command center. "Helen, sound the general alarm. Get everyone to the shelters." Helen's hands shook as she activated the colony-wide alert system. Sirens wailed across Haven's Rest. People stopped what they were doing and looked up at the sky with confusion and fear. Parents grabbed their children. Teachers herded students toward underground shelters. Workers abandoned their posts and ran. In the command center, Marcus stared at the display screens with growing dread. The ships were descending into orbit. Their designs were unfamiliar and menacing. Dark hulls covered with weapon ports and armor plating. These were not exploration vessels. These were warships. "Attempting to hail them," said Jennifer Park, the communications officer. Her voice was tight with tension. "Attention, unknown vessels. This is Haven's Rest colony. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." Static answered her for several long seconds. Then a harsh, rasping voice responded. The translator struggled to convert the alien speech into human language. "Human settlement. We are Krath Syndicate. You will prepare for immediate compliance. Resistance means death." Marcus felt ice run through his veins. He had heard of the Krath during his military service. They were raiders and scavengers, a coalition of different alien species united by greed and cruelty. They attacked isolated targets. They took whatever they wanted. They left nothing but ashes behind. "This is a civilian colony," Marcus said into the microphone, keeping his voice steady. "We have no military assets. We request peaceful contact and diplomatic negotiation." The response was laughter, cruel, clicking laughter that made everyone in the command center flinch. "We know what you are, humans. We know you are weak. We know you are alone. Your Earth is far away. Your fleet cannot help you in time. You will give us everything we want. Your technology, your supplies, your people. If you refuse, we will burn your settlement and everyone in it." The Krath dropships descended through the atmosphere like falling hammers. They did not care about being gentle. The ships landed in the central plaza, crushing the memorial fountain that the colonists had built to honor their founders. Landing thrusters scorched the grass and flowers that children had planted. Hatches opened with hydraulic hisses. The Krath emerged into the daylight. They were nightmares made flesh. Each species in the syndicate looked different, but all shared the same predatory cruelty. The Krath warriors stood between 6 and 7 feet tall. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some had chitinous armor plating. All carried advanced weapons, energy rifles, plasma cannons, shock batons. Commander Thrazkar stepped forward from the largest dropship. He was a Krath overlord, a member of the reptilian species that led the syndicate. His scales were dark red with black markings. His eyes were yellow with vertical pupils. His clawed hands rested on the weapons at his belt. Scars covered his body, trophies from a lifetime of violence. Humans, Thrazkar announced, his translator converting his hissing speech. Gather in the plaza. Bring all valuables. Bring all technology. Bring all food stores. You will comply immediately. Those who resist will be executed. We will start with your children. Helen Cross stood in the growing crowd of terrified colonists. She held the hand of a young girl named Lily Chen. Lily was 7 years old with bright eyes and dark hair tied in pigtails. She clutched a stuffed rabbit against her chest. Her parents were both scientists working at the research station on the far side of the colony. Helen had found Lily hiding in the administrative building and promised to keep her safe. Around them, hundreds of colonists gathered. Farmers still covered in soil from their fields, scientists in lab coats, teachers with their students clustered close, elderly residents leaning on canes. Everyone was frightened. Everyone felt helpless. The Krath warriors spread through Haven's Rest like a plague. They moved in organized squads. They broke into homes and took everything of value. They ransacked the research facilities and stole data cores and equipment. They herded people roughly, shoving and hitting anyone who moved too slowly. They laughed at the colonists' fear. Marcus Webb watched from the command center, rage and desperation warring in his chest. He had 20 security personnel. They had stunners and basic body armor. Against the Krath's military-grade weapons, they would last seconds. "Sir, what do we do?" Jennifer asked, tears streaming down her face. Marcus made his decision. Send an emergency signal to Earth Defense Command. Maximum priority. Quantum relay. Tell them we're under attack by Krath Syndicate forces. Tell them we have hostages. Tell them we need immediate military response. "Sir, the nearest fleet is weeks away," Jennifer said. "Send it anyway," Marcus ordered. "It's all we can do." Jennifer's fingers flew across her console. The quantum relay activated, sending the distress signal across vast distances instantly. The message would reach Earth Defense Command in seconds. But help was so far away. Commander Thrazkar established his command post in the colony's administrative building. He sat in Helen's chair and broadcast a message across multiple communication frequencies. He wanted other colonies to hear. He wanted other species to see. He wanted everyone to know that the Krath Syndicate could strike anywhere. "Attention all who receive this transmission," Thrazkar announced. "This is Commander Thrazkar of the Krath Syndicate. We have conquered the human colony called Haven's Rest. These humans are now our prisoners. Their possessions are now ours. We do this because we can. We do this because they are weak." Krath warriors dragged several colonists forward. Children, elderly scientists. They forced them to kneel before the camera. Thrazkar gestured toward them with his clawed hand. "Look at these humans. See how helpless they are. This is the truth of their species. They spread across the stars like soft insects. They build their farms and their research stations. They think they are safe, but they are not safe. They are prey. We are predators. Any colony that does not pay tribute to the Krath Syndicate will share this fate." The broadcast ended. Thrazkar leaned back in the stolen chair and laughed. His warriors laughed with him. They had raided 17 colonies in the past 3 years. It was always the same. The victims called for help. Help arrived too late. The Krath took what they wanted and vanished before military forces could respond. But Thrazkar did not know something important. He did not know about humanity's quantum relay network. He did not know that every human colony possessed instant communication with Earth. He did not know that his entire attack, his broadcast, his threats were being watched in real time by people who would not forgive. On Earth, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains in the North American Defense Command Center, Admiral Catherine Stone watched Thrazkar's broadcast with cold fury. She was 60 years old with steel-gray hair and eyes like chips of ice. She had served in Earth Defense Force for 40 years. She had fought in the consolidation wars that unified humanity. She had seen violence and cruelty, but watching aliens threaten human children ignited something primal in her. "How long until we can reach Haven's Rest?" she asked quietly. Her operations officer, Commander David Chen, checked his tactical display. "Third battle group is closest. Vice Admiral Kuroda's fleet. They can reach Haven's Rest in 72 hours if they push maximum velocity." Admiral Stone nodded slowly. She looked at the frozen image of Commander Thrazakar on the screen. She looked at the frightened colonists kneeling before him. "Deploy third battle group immediately," she ordered. "Full combat authorization. Maximum speed, no warnings, no negotiations." Commander Chen swallowed hard.
"Admiral, what are the rules of engagement?"
Admiral Stone's expression was carved from stone. Her voice was colder than deep space. "The Krath attack civilians. They threaten children. They believe we are weak. When Vice Admiral Kuroda arrives, he will show them the truth. Complete destruction of all hostile forces. Capture of leadership for war crimes tribunal. Zero tolerance for hostage situations. The Krath chose violence. We will give them violence beyond their comprehension." Across the solar system, Third Battle Group received their orders. Ships that had been patrolling the outer colonies immediately changed course. Vessels docked at Luna Orbital and Mars Station began emergency deployment procedures. Crews ran to their stations. Weapon systems powered up. Fighter squadrons launched from carrier bays. Vice Admiral James Kuroda stood on the bridge of his flagship, the heavy cruiser, Indomitable. He was 55 years old, a career officer who had spent his entire adult life in space. He read the deployment orders with grim determination. "All ships, this is Vice Admiral Kuroda," he broadcast to the fleet. "We have received emergency orders. A human colony is under attack by Krath Syndicate forces. Civilians are being held hostage. Children are in danger. We will reach Haven's Rest in 72 hours. When we arrive, we will demonstrate to the galaxy what happens when someone attacks our people. Prepare for combat operations. This is not a drill." The third battle group consisted of 8 heavy cruisers, 24 destroyers, 3 assault carriers, and supporting vessels. Over 15,000 personnel. Enough firepower to level a planet. They moved into formation and activated their quantum drives. Space twisted around them as they accelerated to speeds that bent the laws of physics. On Haven's Rest, night was falling. The colonists huddled together under Krathguard. Children cried softly. Adults tried to comfort each other with whispered words. The Krath warriors celebrated their easy victory, drinking stolen alcohol and fighting among themselves over the best plunder. Commander Thrazakar stood on the observation deck that Helen Cross had stood on that morning. He looked out over the conquered colony and felt satisfaction. Tomorrow, he would begin selecting which humans would be sold as slaves. Tomorrow, he would strip this place of everything valuable. Tomorrow, he would send another broadcast showing the execution of hostages. He did not know that humanity's fleet was already racing through the darkness between stars. Coming fast. Coming angry. Coming without mercy. Helen Cross sat in the corner of the crowded shelter holding Lily Chen close. The little girl had finally fallen asleep, exhausted by fear. Other colonists sat in silence, processing their new reality. Marcus Webb moved through the shelter, checking on people, offering what comfort he could. When he reached Helen, he knelt beside her. "Did you send the signal?" Helen whispered. Marcus nodded. "Earth knows what happened. Help is coming. Will it be in time?" Helen asked. Marcus looked at the sleeping child in her arms. He thought about his years in the Defense Force. He thought about the fleet he had served with. He thought about the officers and crews who protected humanity's frontier. "Yes," he said with conviction, "Earth will come. And when they arrive, the Krath will learn a lesson they will never forget." Above Haven's Rest, stars glittered in the night sky. Somewhere out there, moving faster than light itself, humanity's answer was approaching. The Krath believed they had won. They had no idea that their greatest mistake was just beginning to unfold. Earth's answer. The second day of occupation began with brutality. Commander Thrazakar wanted to send a message that would echo across the galaxy. He ordered his warriors to gather more hostages in the central plaza. 50 colonists were dragged from their homes and forced to kneel in rows. Children screamed for their parents. Elderly colonists struggled to stand. The Krath warriors showed no mercy. Helen Cross was pulled from the shelter along with 30 others. Krath guards shoved them roughly toward the plaza. Helen kept her hand firmly wrapped around Lily Chen's small fingers. The little girl clutched her stuffed rabbit with her free hand, her eyes wide with terror. "Stay close to me," Helen whispered. "No matter what happens, stay close." Lily nodded, unable to speak past the fear choking her throat. In the plaza, Thrazakar stood on a platform constructed from overturned colony equipment. He wanted everyone to see him. He wanted his power to be undeniable. His yellow eyes surveyed the terrified humans with satisfaction. "Humans of Haven's Rest," Thrazakar announced, his translator broadcasting his words across the colony. "Today you will witness what happens to those who displease the Krath Syndicate. We will execute 10 of you. We will broadcast this execution across all frequencies. Other colonies will see. Other species will learn. Weakness invites destruction." Helen felt her blood turn to ice. Around her, colonists began crying. Some begged for mercy. Others prayed silently. Marcus Webb stood among the crowd, his fists clenched so tightly his knuckles were white. He felt utterly helpless. Thrazakar pointed his clawed hand at random colonists. You. He selected 10 people without care or consideration. A farmer, a teacher, an elderly woman, a teenage boy. Each selection brought fresh waves of horror. But then something unexpected happened. Young Lily Chen stepped forward. "No," she said in a small but clear voice. Everyone froze. Helen tried to pull Lily back, but the little girl shook her head. She walked toward Thrazakar with her stuffed rabbit held against her chest. Her legs trembled, but she did not stop. "You should not hurt people," Lily said, looking up at the massive alien commander. "My teacher says hurting people is wrong." "You are being a bully." Thrazakar stared down at the tiny human child. For a moment he seemed almost amused. Then his expression hardened. He raised his weapon and pointed it at Lily's head. "Foolish child," he hissed. "You will die first." Helen screamed and tried to run forward, but Krath guards held her back. Marcus shouted and struggled against his captors. The entire colony held its breath in collective horror. But Thrazakar wanted to savor the moment. He wanted the fear to build. He activated his communication equipment to begin the broadcast. He wanted the galaxy to watch this child die. What Thrazakar did not know was that at that exact moment, humanity's third battle group was emerging from quantum transit at the edge of the Kepler 442b system. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Vice Admiral James Kuroda stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his dark eyes fixed on the tactical display showing Haven's Rest. 72 hours of maximum velocity travel had brought them here. Now the real work began. "Status report," Kuroda commanded. Commander Sarah Mitchell, his tactical officer, responded immediately. "All ships reporting ready status. 8 heavy cruisers, 24 destroyers, 3 carriers with full fighter complement. Weapon systems charged. Marines ready for planetary assault. We have achieved complete surprise. Krath sensors have not detected us," Kuroda nodded. Humanity had invested heavily in stealth technology. Their ships could mask their signatures until they chose to reveal themselves. It was one of many advantages the Krath did not know about. "Tactical assessment of enemy forces?" Kuroda asked. 8 Krath vessels in orbit around Haven's Rest, Mitchell replied. 4 cruisers, 4 frigates. Standard syndicate configuration. Their shields are at minimal power. Weapons are cold. They believe they are secure. They believe wrong, Kuroda said quietly. "Communications open fleet-wide channel." "Channel open, sir." Kuroda's voice carried to every ship in the third battle group. "All vessels, this is Vice Admiral Kuroda. We are here to liberate Haven's Rest and punish those who attacked our people. The Krath Syndicate believes humans are weak. They believe we cannot defend our colonies. They believe violence against civilians will go unanswered. Today we prove them wrong. Rules of engagement are weapons-free. No warnings, no mercy. Destroy all hostile vessels. Marines will deploy for ground operations immediately after orbital space is secured. Show them what happens when someone threatens human children." Across the fleet, thousands of personnel responded with determination. This was why they served. This was why they trained, to protect the innocent and punish the guilty. "All ships," Kuroda ordered, "execute Alpha strike pattern. Fire when ready." The third battle group revealed itself like a predator dropping its camouflage. Stealth systems disengaged. Active sensors flooded space. Weapon ports opened, and 8 Krath vessels suddenly found themselves surrounded by overwhelming firepower. On the lead Krath cruiser, alarms screamed across every deck. The sensor operator stared at his display in disbelief. Impossible. There had been nothing there seconds ago. Now dozens of massive warships surrounded them in perfect attack formation. "Contacts," he shouted into the communication system. "Multiple hostile contacts. They are everywhere. Alert Commander Thrazkar, we are under attack." But the warning came too late. The third battle group fired as one coordinated force. Railgun rounds moving at relativistic speed slammed into Krath ships. Energy beams cut through armor like paper. Missiles streaked across the void and detonated against hulls. The Krath vessels never had a chance to return fire. The first Krath cruiser exploded in a ball of superheated plasma. Its reactor went critical, creating a miniature sun that burned for 3 seconds before collapsing. The second cruiser tried to raise shields but took a railgun round through its command deck. The ship tumbled out of orbit, breaking apart as it fell. The Krath frigates attempted to flee. They activated their engines and tried to run. Destroyers from the third battle group pursued with merciless efficiency. One frigate made it less than 1,000 kilometers before missiles reduced it to debris. Another managed to activate its quantum drive but was destroyed in the transition window. The explosion left a scar in spacetime that would take months to heal. In less than 4 minutes, all 8 Krath vessels were destroyed. Not damaged, not disabled, completely annihilated. The orbital space around Haven's Rest belonged to humanity. On the surface, Commander Thrazkar stood with his weapon pointed at Lily Chen's head. He was about to pull the trigger when every Krath communication device erupted with panicked voices. Fleet destroyed. All ships destroyed. Unknown vessels. Massive firepower. We are under attack. Thrazkar's hand froze. His yellow eyes went wide with shock. Impossible. The human fleet was weeks away. There had been no warning. No advanced scouts, nothing. What? He roared into his communicator. Report status immediately. All vessels destroyed, Commander, came the terrified response from one of his officers monitoring long-range sensors. 8 unknown warships remain in orbit. No more arriving. They are launching dropships. Ground assault imminent. Thrazkar looked up at the sky. He could see the contrails now. Dozens of them. Human military dropships entering the atmosphere in perfect formation. All warriors to defensive positions, Thrazkar shouted. Prepare to repel ground assault. Bring the hostages to the command center. We will use them as shields. But even as he gave the orders, Thrazkar felt something he had not experienced in decades. Fear. The human dropships descended through the atmosphere with purpose. These were not civilian transports. These were assault craft designed for combat insertion. Each carried a platoon of Earth Defense Force Marines. The best-trained, best-equipped soldiers humanity could produce. Lieutenant Commander Rachel Torres sat in the lead dropship with her platoon. She was 32 years old with sharp eyes and steady hands. She had served in peacekeeping operations across human space. She had trained for situations exactly like this. Listen up, Rachel told her Marines over the internal communication system. Hostage rescue is priority 1. Rules of engagement are clear. Any Krath who surrenders will be detained. Any Krath who threatens hostages will be eliminated. No hesitation. No second chances. These bastards attacked civilians. They threatened children. We show them what that costs. Her Marines checked their weapons. Advanced kinetic rifles, plasma cutters for breaching, non-lethal stun weapons for close-quarters hostage situations. They were ready. The drop ships landed in coordinated positions around Haven's Rest. Ramps dropped. Marines poured out in perfect tactical formation. They moved like water, flowing around obstacles, covering each other, advancing with disciplined precision. Krath warriors opened fire from defensive positions. Energy bolts streaked through the air. But the Marines' armor absorbed the hits. They returned fire with devastating accuracy. Krath warriors fell, their weapons useless against humanity's superior technology and training. Commander Thrazkar retreated to the administrative building with 50 warriors. They dragged hostages with them, including Helen Cross and Lily Chen. Thrazkar's mind raced. Everything had gone wrong. How had the humans arrived so quickly? How had they destroyed his fleet so easily? Barricade all entrances, he ordered. Position hostages at every door and window. The humans will not fire if they might hit their own people. But Thrazkar had never faced Earth Defense Force Marines before. He did not understand their capabilities. Rachel Torres studied the administrative building from a safe distance. Thermal imaging showed the locations of hostages and Krath warriors. She could see the heat signatures through the walls. She counted 50 hostile targets. She counted approximately 70 hostages. Precision entry, she ordered her platoon. Teams Alpha and Bravo breach from opposite sides simultaneously. Team Charlie secures the roof. Snipers take overwatch positions. Non-lethal weapons only where hostages are present. Lethal force authorized for clear targets. Execute in 60 seconds. Her Marines moved into position with practiced efficiency. Shape charges were placed on walls and doors. Snipers climbed to elevated positions. Everyone synchronized their chronometers. 30 seconds, Rachel counted down. 20, 10, 5 breach. The shaped charges detonated simultaneously. Walls exploded inward. Marines flooded through the breaches with smoke grenades and flashbangs. The building filled with confusion and noise. But the Marines moved through the chaos with perfect coordination. They knew exactly where every hostage was positioned. They knew exactly where every threat stood. Krath warriors fired wildly into the smoke. Marines returned fire with surgical precision. Stun rounds dropped Krath who stood near hostages. Kinetic rounds eliminated Krath with clear firing lanes. The entire assault took less than 3 minutes. Commander Thrazakar found himself surrounded by human Marines. His weapon was kicked from his hands. He was thrown to the ground and restrained with magnetic cuffs. Around him, his warriors were being subdued or eliminated. Rachel Torres stood over the defeated Krath commander. Commander Thrazakar of the Krath Syndicate. You are under arrest for war crimes against humanity. You will be transported to Earth for tribunal. You attacked civilians. You threatened children. You will answer for every crime. Thrazakar stared up at the human warrior in disbelief. This is not possible, he hissed. You are weak. Everyone knows humans are weak. Rachel's expression was cold as ice. We seek peace. We offer friendship. We trade fairly with every species we meet. But when someone attacks our people, when someone threatens our children, we show no mercy. You mistook patience for weakness. That was your last mistake. Throughout Haven's Rest, the liberation was complete. Every Krath warrior was either captured or eliminated. Not a single colonist had been killed during the rescue operation. The Marines had performed perfectly. Helen Cross stood in the plaza holding Lily Chen tightly. The little girl was crying now, releasing all the fear she had held inside. Around them, colonists embraced each other. Some were laughing. Some were crying. All were safe. Marcus Webb found Helen and wrapped them both in a careful hug. I told you help would come, he said, his voice thick with emotion. You did, Helen replied. Earth came for us. Vice Admiral Kuroda descended to the surface in his personal shuttle. He walked through the colony, speaking with colonists, checking on the wounded, ensuring everyone had what they needed. When he found Helen Cross, he stopped and offered a respectful nod. Dr. Cross, I am Vice Admiral James Kuroda of the Earth Defense Force. I apologize we could not arrive sooner. Helen shook her head, tears streaming down her face. You came. That is what matters. You came when we needed you. Kuroda knelt down to Lily Chen's level. The little girl looked at him with wide eyes, still clutching her stuffed rabbit. You were very brave, Kuroda told her gently. You stood up to someone much bigger and scarier than you. That takes real courage. Will the bad aliens come back? Lily asked in a small voice. Kuroda shook his head.
No, they will not.
And we are going to make sure everyone in the galaxy knows what happens to anyone who attacks humans. You are safe now. You will always be safe. Admiral Catherine Stone watched the liberation from Earth. She saw the colonists being freed. She saw the Krath prisoners being loaded onto transport ships. She saw human Marines standing guard over Haven's Rest. She activated the communication system and broadcast a message across all known frequencies. Every species in the galaxy would receive it. Every government. Every military. Everyone would hear. This is Admiral Catherine Stone of Earth Defense Command. Today the Krath Syndicate attacked a human civilian colony. They threatened innocent people. They terrorized children. They believed humanity was weak. They believed we would not respond with force. They were wrong. The Krath fleet has been destroyed. Their ground forces have been eliminated or captured. Commander Thrazakar will stand trial for war crimes. Let this be a lesson to any species considering aggression against humanity. We seek peace. We offer friendship. We trade fairly, but we protect our own with absolute conviction. Attack a human colony and you will face the full might of Earth's military. We will show no mercy. We will show no hesitation. Choose your actions wisely. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, leaders and military commanders watched in silence. Many species had underestimated humanity. Many had assumed the humans were soft. They would not make that mistake again. On Haven's Rest, reconstruction began immediately. Earth Defense Force engineers arrived to repair damaged buildings. Medical personnel treated every colonist. Supply ships brought food and materials, and 2 destroyers took up permanent stations in orbit. Never again would Haven's Rest stand undefended. Marcus Webb stood with Helen Cross on the observation deck. The same place where this nightmare had begun. Now they watched Earth warships moving through orbit. Lights from the reconstruction efforts lit up the colony below. Everything has changed, Helen said quietly. Yes, Marcus agreed. But we are still here, still alive, still free. Because when humanity is threatened, humanity responds. Young Lily Chen joined them, holding hands with her parents who had been reunited with her. She looked up at the warships in the sky and felt something she had not felt during the occupation. She felt safe. The Krath Syndicate sent representatives to negotiate the return of their captured warriors. Earth's response was simple. They would face trial. Justice would be served. The negotiations ended quickly. The Krath backed down. Word spread through the galaxy. Humanity had shown its strength. The peaceful colonies were not defenseless. The farmers and scientists had warriors protecting them. Warriors who would cross any distance and destroy any threat to save their people. Other predatory species reconsidered their plans. Raids on human colonies ceased. Trade agreements were signed with new respect. The galaxy learned a lesson that would not be forgotten. Commander Thraskar sat in a detention cell aboard the Indomitable. He would be transported to Earth to face justice. He thought about his arrogance, his assumption that humans were weak, his terrible mistake. He had learned the truth too late. Humanity was patient. Humanity was kind. But humanity was not weak, never weak. And across the stars, on thousands of human colonies, people slept safely knowing that Earth stood watch, ready to defend, ready to protect, ready to show the galaxy what happened when someone attacked the helpless. The message was clear. Humanity had arrived among the stars not just to explore but to endure, to build, to protect, and to ensure that no one would ever again mistake patience for weakness.